Thanks to computers and digital cameras, the photography world is more creative than ever. And one of the best photography studios in Northeast Ohio for landscapes, aerials, architecture, and portraits is Mort Photography in Cleveland.
It was my dad's hobby was photography. My dad's actually a graduate accountant from Ohio State, but didn't want to be an accountant. Went into photography with his father-in-law and an uncle of mine. And back in 1962, my grandfather he passed, and my dad took over the company, which was Redmond Photography. But then in about 1971, he kind of went off on his own and opened Mort Photography.
One of the things that puts Mort Photography on the map was their beautiful photographs of the Cleveland landscape. From the sports stadiums to the famous landmarks, Mort Photography has assembled a great catalog of pictures that show the true beauty of Northeast Ohio.
Back in the 80s, we decided, my dad made a conscious decision that we're only going to show Cleveland in a positive light. And it's a pretty photographic city, but you have to live in it to know how to photograph it, to where those areas are and where that you want to shoot and what you don't want to shoot. So when you're 20 years ago, when I'm in my 20s, you do a lot of exploring, you wander around a lot in the daytime, in the evenings, when the sun's setting, all that, and you kind of pick and choose your spots before you ever even go out and shoot it, because you're waiting for a specific day, maybe a specific sky, or the morning, or the afternoon, or the evening. So that's kind of the routine you go through to shooting the city, is having your spots picked out before you actually go shoot them, kind of knowing or preparing and waiting for that specific day.
Mort Photography has expanded in recent years from photography to digital art reproduction through a process called Giclee. Giclee is a French word meaning spray of color.
We capture the artwork digitally today instead of on film, and it's a process I go through to basically scan it. It's not a whole lot different, just a lot more detailed than your desktop scanner. But just imagine a highly detailed scanner in an area that you scan the images, capture the colors as accurately as you can, and there's other processes and steps to go through to ensure color, and then reproduce it on a large inkjet printer that uses archivable pigmented inks that should outlast, that I've been told, hundreds of years actually, because they are pigments. You're actually using pigments to print with.
Through Giclee, they can handle any form of drawing, painting, or photograph. The reproductions can then be printed on any form of canvas or paper.
Most people would have a difficult time if they're standing 2-3 feet away from the original and the reproduction of telling if it's the original or the reproduction. The only things you're not going to capture is you're not going to capture brush strokes. Things like pastels or chalks or pencils, you would have a real hard time telling the original from the reproduction. And you can print on fine art papers, and I can also reprint on canvases, art canvas like anybody else would paint on. So those all can be coated for extra protection too.
Giclee has been a great asset for many Northeast Ohio artists. It gives them the flexibility to make as many duplications as they need, come back on a later date to make more, or make a digital copy and sell the original.
It's kind of a saying I've always said, you can't be a rock star in your own backyard. So a lot of the artists I deal with, they do traveling shows, and they travel the country selling their artwork and their wares. Just because they're a Cleveland-based artist doesn't mean they're just trying to sell their wares here. They're traveling the country, and because of the internet today, the world, trying to sell their different things, because everything has a different style. From a simple watercolor to Afrocentric art, to people that do flowers, to people that do sunsets. There's something for everybody.
Along with landscapes and Giclee photos, Mort Tucker also photographs professional portraits and architectural photographs.
I do a lot of interiors and a lot of exteriors, photography, architectural photography. Could be a house, could be an office building, could be industrial, and it's all about companies marketing themselves and marketing what they can do. Or if you think about a developer that needs to sell his product to, it could be as simple as selling space to a Walmart or a Home Depot or Lowe's. They have to take their product and say, hey, look, this is what we have. Don't you want to be in our shopping center? Virtual photography is one of the coolest things I do. It's they call it 3D immersive. And I tell people it's almost like inserting yourself inside a globe. which is kind of cool because what you do is the way I do it is I use a fisheye lens, which captures 180 degrees one way. You turn the camera, it captures 180 degrees the other way, and then through software, it'll put it together so you can actually tour all the way around, 360 degrees, top, bottom, up and down, and around. So it's like inserting yourself into the photograph. And that's one of the neat things. And a lot of housing, a lot of industrial, a lot of people to sell homes use a lot of that internal stuff. A lot of hotels will do that too, and resorts to show. It's a neat product.
The photography world has changed drastically in the last few years, but thanks to their dedication to style and quality, Mort Tucker Photography continues to be a leader in the industry.
The world we live in is visual. As I tell people, you pick up a newspaper, you pick up a magazine, you even go to the internet, there's photographs there. Because someone will say, what does a commercial or professional photographer do? They take photographs. Everything you pick up and touch has a photograph in it.
For the best digital art reproduction and photography in Northeast Ohio, stop by Mort Tucker Photography in Cleveland.